Hi everyone, my name is Saroka. I don't know whether or not this is going to save or whatnot. It's the first time I'm trying to go live on this phone with the connection I have. Camera on this phone is cracked too up in the front, so you're not going to get much quality. Not that there's much to see anyway. In case this is recording, which is the hopes, Apple, welcome on. Sam and Joy, welcome on. Please reach out to everyone and let them know that I'm on here. I want to have a little bit of a conversation. I feel much safer to have it here on Instagram because I can hit that mute button. If I need to hit the mute button on someone, I can just hit that mute button as opposed to someone having to be blocked. So, Vicky, welcome on. As I start to come to terms with how long I've been running away from my career, as I've tried to build it and then break it and break it and break it over again, I've seen some of the ways that people have treated me, and it confused me. There were and are people out there who look at me like a public figure. They have in the past and they still do, and I thought that if I just brought myself down and down and down, that it would help people to see my humanity and see me as one of them, or like one of them. What's one of them? Like, we're the human race. I'm not all that different. And people say often, hey, I don't see you different, because they care and they want to make me feel welcome or, feel at home. And I'm starting to see that it's just not true for most people, and it never really was. I was that kid in school that just didn't fit in anywhere, which is okay, right? We all have our place. But what I'm coming to terms with is something that hadn't registered in my mind, because once I graduated from high school, I moved on from high school, and my mind moved on from high school. And so I may be bringing it up. I am bringing it up for others, and for those of you who may not fully understand or grasp this monumentous thing that does have a very simple explanation. And in the most simple terms that I could convey to you is bullies in the schoolyard. That I was bullied, and it was because I spoke up. Whereas in high school, I was pretty much left alone because I was quiet. No one bothered with me because I didn't bother with them. If I would have chosen to get good grades, and if I would have chosen to try to make friends or reach out to people, I would have been violently rejected. And that's something that in high school I picked up on and I knew, and so I just stayed out of the mix. I didn't get good grades. I went under the radar. I went under the radar and just tried to make it through alive. And then I hit 18 years old, I hit my adulthood, and I said, well, now I want to do something with myself, right? I now have my freedom. I'm out from under the guise of the bullies, and I can just go out and make a life for myself. And so a lot of people have been bullying me these past couple of years, and I've gotten the same answers from family and friends that they tell you in the news to watch out for, and the signs of, as they say, you're making it up. Just turn the other cheek. No matter how much you're getting beat down, just turn the other cheek. Like, that's always, it's the only thing you can do. I think it's good. Yes, turn the other cheek is what I'm doing. That is what I'm doing. But at the same time, is the establishment or somebody out there should be doing something about it, not just letting this happen to people. So like I said, either it's not happening to you, just brush it off, or they'll tell you to fight back. And I came to a point where I had, people said, you're making it up. And so I accepted a mental health diagnosis, a mental illness. I accepted the diagnosis of a mental illness just to tell myself that I'm making it up. Just that, well, other people must be right? No one's picking on me. It's not even happening. I've lost it, right? So that was one. No, I don't have a black eye. No, I'm good, thank you. That's from a spoon. It's an older, there's a video on the earlier part of my profile you could watch. I poked myself in the eye with a spoon on accident. I had a bowl of ice cream and I slammed my head down, and I did that. So like I said, I tried to brush it off and agree with other people. It's, wow, like nobody's picking on me. It's just not happening. It was definitely happening. Head down, and I did that. So, like I said, I tried to brush it off and agree with other people. It's, wow, like nobody's picking on me. It's just not happening. It was definitely happening. 2 is just try to turn the other cheek. And I tried to turn the other cheek. What I didn't know was I had people that were pretending to be my friends in a friend circle, and they're all making fun of me the whole time. I had no friends at all. These past couple of years, I didn't have a single friend, and I thought I did. They were just criminals, like adult bullies. Okay, they're people who did not grow up from high school, and it took bullying to an insane level that they consider socially appropriate, and that's mental illness, and that's some scary stuff. And then 3rd was people telling me to fight back, and it was those people who should not have been in my life that had trained me first to listen to them, and then turned around, and when I got with my girlfriend, then they knew that I would listen to her and not them, and say they told me the exact opposite of what they knew I would do. And they made me feel unheard on purpose. These are people twice my age. They knew exactly what was going on in that house. They had their eyes and ears in there because they were on the phone with me. I FaceTimed with them. I talked to them all the time. They had their eyes and ears in that house. And fully witnessing everything that's going on, and then playing dumb. Because years before that, they didn't play dumb at all. They knew everything. And they really did. They educated me on a whole lot of stuff. And just not the criminal side of things. And then they exposed themselves as my girlfriend shows up, freaking me out, and then turning around and making me feel like I'm not heard and putting all the focus on her like I'm just the bad guy, when they know that I wasn't the bad guy. At that point in time, my girlfriend was convinced that I was just the bad guy. Because when you're that age and you have that many people telling you that's how it is, she believed it because she was scared. And the evidence wasn't there. She lived it with me. The evidence was not there. And she didn't have the ability to ascertain or evaluate whether or not it was happening, what they were saying was happening, or that I was doing or whatnot. As I've gotten out from under the thumb of these people who essentially became certified in pharmacy, start piecing it together, guys. For your own sake, start piecing it together. I moved on from them, and I moved on to a better place with my now wife, and as I piece together what happened, and I unflood my mind, and I get back to a healthy place, I see that it comes down to a very simple social construct, and that is bullies in the playground, okay? And the way that I've been treated has been that these people have bullied me, okay? These certain individuals have bullied me, and then pretended to befriend me when the principal came around. Okay, the principal came around, and all of a sudden we're buddy-buddy. Their hand is over, their arm is over my shoulder. And then the girl that everybody likes comes into the yard, and she wants to talk to me. Well, that's not allowed. That's not allowed. And that's pretty much what it comes down to, is I got the girl, and a whole bunch of guys who had to manipulate and brainwash a woman to get married and make what they call a family, as, whether they're having sex with 40 women or they're having, inappropriate relations with children, or whether they have cloned other human beings to be exactly like them and they call that a family. I sat humble and I did what my pop told me to do, continue to turn the other cheek. And the one time that I didn't turn the other cheek was when I had been just as convinced as my wife that she was my enemy. Those who have done what they've done to me understand psychology very well. They know exactly what they were doing. In the past, they had bragged about, one single one had bragged about all their sales training and how great they were. and just trying to school me, and say that I'm not as good as them. The reason I am better is because I have integrity. I don't go to war. I'm not going to defend myself. I'm not going to play the game. I'm going to continue to move forward and live my life. It's the only one I've got. And quite honestly, you're welcome, because I'm smart enough to look you in the face, every single one of you, good and bad, and say, it is the most mature decision for all of us to move on before the principal comes back into the schoolyard, unless they're already here. Because I'm pretty sure everybody gets in trouble. Anybody who's in the fight gets in trouble. I'm not on board for that, because I have a life to live and I have things to do. But if you're that bored, then I guess you could just keep wasting your own time and tell yourself that it's worth it. It's not worth the fight to me. I have a life to live. I have a wife to love. I have children to have. And I have a future to create for myself in my own life and with my family. And to betray my trust down to the nth degree and then turn around and say that I'm worse. I will admit I've made some poor choices and I've been bad. But I am sure as hell not worse. And I'm not going to continue down that path with those people, because it will make me like them. I'll lose myself in it, and it's not worth it. Something my pop did teach me, is that it's not worth it. So I've let it go. I'm moving on. The chips will fall as they may. And I'm not responsible for other people's actions, but I'm definitely responsible for my own, which is why I'm bucking up and just getting done what has to get done. And I'm doing it with the little resources that I have right now. I'm doing as much as I can with the little that I have. And as I continue to grow out and feel safe again and regrow my health, and it'll come to a better place. So as far as brainwashing and conspiracy and whatnot, most of that has been delusion. Most of that has just been me having trouble ascertaining that I just got bullied on a monumental scale. Feel safe again and regrow my health, and it'll come to a better place. So as far as brainwashing and conspiracy and whatnot, most of that has been delusion. Most of that has just been me having trouble ascertaining that I just got bullied on a monumental scale. As a little squashling, I was just this little thing, and I got bullied by like the biggest kid in school, and I could not fathom that they would be the person to pick on me. Right? Is I thought, okay, well, I am this. I told you guys my skills and whatnot, and that's great. But at the same time, I am clearly so small. And I didn't think that would be something that the biggest bully in school would step out and say, hey, this is worth my time. I never thought myself, even with the overconfidence that you saw from me, I never really thought myself important enough for somebody like that to step out and make a problem. But apparently so. And if not so, then maybe something from my past or my family's past. I don't know. All I know is I got picked on really heavily by some really bad people. And those are criminals. They're not bullies in a schoolyard anymore. This is adulthood, and that's crime. And so when my wife and I fought, neither one of us had realized that what we were doing to each other was so bad, because we were so surrounded by people who had coerced their way into our life, who were really bad. And like I said, we popped that bubble, we burst that bubble, and we left. And now coming to a place where we're healthier and we're getting much more healthy, it's all coming to fruition. It's making a lot more sense, and we're able to piece things together as they are, not as others are saying or whatnot. So what you hear from me and what you see from me, listen to my voice. Don't look at my hair. Don't look at the spoon poke in my eye. Pay attention to what I'm saying and how I'm saying it, because that's me. And all this that you're seeing has been coerced and built into me. All right, I've been pummeled for years. I have been fighting for a breath of fresh air for half of a decade. This is what it looks like. That's the result of that. This is what happens when you have to fight for your life for 5 years while everyone else tells you you're making it up. So I'm letting it go, and I'm getting over it. I will say there's some pretty crappy parents out there just telling their kids that just to get over it, and it's not that bad. Well, I'll tell you, that's what happened with the Gen X, and look at what it did to us, okay? So I'm telling you that that's wrong, and that there's something that has to be done about it. Parents have to start stepping in when there's bullying. Something has to be done. It's wrong, and it's causing kids to do some pretty nasty stuff. And me as an adult, thank God on me that I did power through this, but the average person does not. They give up, they do something bad, whatever. I made some mistakes, but for what's been done to me, I could have done a hell of a lot worse. Just look at my father. I could have done a hell of a lot worse. So I'm not proud of the mistakes that I made, clearly. But sometimes it's important that we do look at the situation and say, what is the lesser of two evils? As I wake up to what I've become and the choices I've made, I say, wow, I was going down a really, really bad path, and far worse than the average person. I turned around on that path because I so heavily want to be the good guy, and I had not recognized that I was coming off that path. So as I get back onto that path, there's a lot of gratitude for me. You may not see that as a reason for me to be grateful, but that's just maybe you're not grateful for me, right? You've seen the mistakes I've made. Maybe you haven't moved forward from it yet, or you think that I don't deserve to. Wherever you're at, that's yours. Me, I want to own my mistakes as quickly as possible and continue to get better as quickly as possible. And whether or not there's justice in the future for me or whatnot, I guess society will decide. My personal decision, while I still have my freedom, is to do the best that I can with it to get better. And what other choices other people are making is not my responsibility, and it's no longer my business, because I don't need the trouble, and I don't think anybody else wants it either. And that's that. So I just leave them out of my business, I move on with my life, I start my family, and that's all I have. Welcome on, Tim, Maggie, Stocks. The bullying needs to stop. My friend's little sister was so bullied she tried to hurt herself, to put it lightly. I'm sorry to hear that. Yeah, it's a little bit of both. Here's the thing, is we don't want to emasculate people, emasculate men, because as much as I know we are moving into this society of gender neutrality, there are still parts of our, like everything from our genomes down to our, like every piece of us, let me just leave it broad, every piece of a man, like there's parts of us that women don't have and parts of women that, it goes both ways. Let me leave it there before I pretend like I'm a scientist. It goes both ways, and it's pretty clear. It's simple stuff, but it is the most core of things, right? Whereas most other things, they seem to be exchangeable in society, but there are core values, not just societally or morally, but within our chemical makeup that we are made to be man and woman. And that is a natural philosophy that historically in society, now I'm coming from a non-religious perspective, even if I have a religious background, I have removed myself for the most part from that. But from a scientific perspective and from a historian perspective, is societies in the past that have lost sight of their natural gender roles in society and embody that Epicurean philosophy on how society should run, it often topples in on itself. And our society right now is at a tipping point for that. And that's a very dangerous place to be. I am not going to be party to buying into that or being willing to promote that. I promote most of the freedoms. I believe that people should have the ability to make those choices, because a big piece of where bullying comes from is people feeling insecure about who they are or the choices they make. And then we often come into adulthood and we make worse choices because we feel that we didn't get to make the choices we wanted to when we were young, and we feel too insecure in our adulthood to make the choices we want to, and then we end up making worse choices because that pressure builds and we think we can control it, but our human nature can only handle so much. There's only so much our mind can handle before we snap or break or step out into a temptation unknown that's unhealthy for us. So as we begin to explore the human mind and understand ourselves on a biogenetic level, as opposed to just boy-girl, it's important that we stay to that core, and at the same time be willing to have that exploration, understanding that facing a temptation
is not the same as giving into it. Facing facts and facing nature and facing the ability to create fluidity within our natures, certain parts of our natures, that it does not demand that we then create reality for ourselves. That's a personal choice. That's called free will. So we can understand that we can choose left or right or wrong. It's a personal choice to choose the right thing that makes all the difference. But just avoiding that there is a wrong choice, or that, not wanting to accept in ourselves our insecurities that maybe we are drawn to make the wrong choice, and then so deny that it exists altogether within our mind. That's just self-denial. And so what you've seen from me over the past couple of years is me challenging myself and challenging those temptations and going out into the world. And the small mistakes that I've made, and they are small compared to the temptations I've had to face, they are minuscule in comparison to the amount of growth that I've ascertained. And now with all that I have grown, I'm making efforts to bring it back to society and really provide. And I do have those fears that someone is going to try to shut me down or end my life or something like that, saying, well, we don't want you here, or we don't want it your way, or whatever. But it's not my way. There is servitude, and then there's conquering. And the way that I said it to Kate this morning is that I am a far greater servant to society than those who seek to conquer me have the ability to conquer. So what do I mean by that? Is that my country, which is what I believe in promoting, and through the stuff that I've learned, is I want to give back to our country and our people. My not only desire to serve, but my ability to serve is far greater than those seeking to conquer me, their ability to conquer me. Because as long as I am being a greater civil servant to my country, who is a far larger and greater conqueror than those trying to conquer me, I will be defended by my country. And so, there may be debts to pay for myself and for others, but at the end of the day, I know where my loyalties are. And my loyalties don't lie. They're very active, and that does make all the difference, is having active loyalty as opposed to fraudulent loyalty. And the reason I have legitimate loyalty to my country is that over these past couple of years, there's a lot of mistakes that I've made that I have paid for and had to pay for firsthand, and through this socializing. And it's been great and very fruitful, and essentially is our country saved my life, because I had the freedom to trip up and make those mistakes and always have that safety net. And for the last mistakes that I made, maybe there is no safety net, or maybe there is and there shouldn't be. But I think that's the beauty of our country, is it's up for society to decide. For me to be used as the scapegoat for it, I think it's an absolute waste of my talents. I think it is me being undermined once again and told that I don't have the ability to help. Say something happens to me, I still have my youth, and I have learned so much, and there's so much that I want to give, and I am sorry for the choices I've made, and it would be a shame for, however long, because I don't even understand that stuff, but say something were to happen to me and I lose half a decade of my life, or a decade, or 2 decades. How is that fair when I have this to give? I mean, it is literally robbing our own country, because the people decided that they want blood more than they want knowledge. And after everything I've learned, I want to give it back, and not just have it for myself. That's how it's always been. And people sit back and will say, well then show it, right? While stopping me from getting good grades by poking me in the back during class and keeping me distracted. And then if I turn around and say stop, the teacher says, Jimmy, stop talking. Been there. And then also is, you say you can do good in sports, well, come play. But when I join a sports team, I get kicked because I struggle with the social side of it. Even though I'm fantastic at the sport, I've had trouble making friends. And so, nope, sorry, you're not good enough for that. So I watched Bill Gates' commencement speech. He gave the commencement speech at Harvard. I watched that today. And he pretty much reamed out Harvard in that speech, challenging them to step up to the plate and serve for equality and serve to build equity in our world and build equality for all people. And there's a lot of people out there who get their education or they get whatever they're doing and it's about them. And I've been trying to tell you guys since day one is that it's not just about me, and it's still not just about me. That'll never change. I'm telling you the truth. But people will keep pressing me and challenging me and then say, if I cannot breathe while there are millions of people sitting on my chest, then I'm not strong enough and I'm not worthy of breathing, let alone doing anything with my life. And it's very unfortunate. And so for me, I've decided to keep you guys at a distance from now on and begin to succeed and get forward and accomplish the things that I promise, because it's the only choice I have left. And I wanted you, a lot of you, to be involved in that process. But now, because of your choices, not mine, but because of your choices, how you've treated me, I am going to have to keep you at that healthy distance so that I can stay healthy for those of you who refuse to accept that you treated me very poorly and that you treated me like an object, like I wasn't even real, and then sat back and when I couldn't succeed while being treated like I'm not even human, that I must be a failure because you can't beat me over the head and then I can't function, but somehow I'm broken. And I've had enough of it. So I'm standing up for myself. I love you guys. I care about you. And I decided to get my diploma because everyone else told me to. I decided to join the Marine Corps because everyone else had told me to. I dropped out, for anyone who doesn't know, by the way. I decided to join social media because people told me not to. I've learned to start looking in the places everyone else says not to look. Because I've looked in a lot of places people told me to, and I didn't find the things that were right for me. Okay? And what I mean by right for me are ways that I can serve society successfully. It's not my way of doing things. I'm one of those odd ones out. I'm one of those very unique people. I still have a place in society, and it's not in incarceration or institutionalization. It is in a unique place. And when you're that person, you have to step out and figure it out for yourself. And that's what I'm doing, is I'm stepping out and I'm saying, okay, well, they are clearly in their place. And that's a big mistake I made with you guys. Just like you were telling me I'm like you, I'm telling you, no, you're like me. And what I learned is there's a lot of people in society who, in the public eye, who will say, you can do what I'm doing. And they're selling you. Right? Is they're trying to get you to come on board or whatever. And I think there's some of what I do that you guys can do, or some of what I'm going to do that you guys can do. But just like there are things that you can do that I can't, vice versa exists as well. And that's where narcissism comes into play for a lot of people, where they say, no, you can't do everything I can do, but I can do everything you can do. And it's just not the case. So we all decide to make success in our own lives at our own pace, and this is my pace, even on live stream. So that's part of why I'm going to decide not to live stream near as much, is because I move at a very, very, very quick pace, and I say a lot, and I mean a lot, and it takes a long time for people to process what I'm saying, or they get overwhelmed. And what I have found out is stepping into social media is, once again, I chose something that wasn't for me necessarily. So what I mean by that is social media will be a part of our future, and all of this is a part of our future. There is no running from that. This is something that will more than likely be in our hands, whether we want it to be or not. It's going to be in some of our brains. So I choose to remain here and try to make this work. And on top of that, make sure that I have stuff outside of this, that I'm working towards goals in real life that have to do with invention and innovation and the parts of my life that are very private to me now. So I put it all into this, and this belongs to someone else. And I think I was trying to own something that belongs to someone else, and that's just called stealing. So, lesson learned. I'm learning to play by the rules when it's not my playground. Sorry if anyone got hurt in the process. I was a little delusional and I didn't realize what I was doing. I underestimated myself. Guys, if you do say negative things, it will have to lead to being muted, which means being hidden from the live stream. I don't want that for you. You don't want that for you. So let's all be respectful to one another. Eating chips. Nice. This is what I mean. See, that's okay to be eating chips and talking about eating chips. I'm talking about the stuff that's important to me. And just like if Elon Musk did a live stream, most people would probably be like, dude, chill. People say the same thing. And yeah, I am on that level. And I'm going to have to go and do it so I can prove it. It's about the only chance I got there is just to go do it. Because at this point, I haven't convinced much of anybody. Or maybe I have. Yeah, I have. Just maybe not the people I wanted to. Kelly, welcome on. Can't make everyone happy. No, I can't. I can't. And that's part of what hurts. Is my only goal, my biggest goal. My biggest goal is I wanted everyone to get along. That always mattered to me so much because it matters. It matters. I sit here and I see people in the media who are very wealthy. And yes, I am not just going for that space in my mind. I'm saying that I am where they are mentally. I know where they're at. I'm like them. They are much more hyped up on themselves than I am. And they are blind as bats. And then you go over to the other side and you got the people running this country and they're blind as bats. And everyone is so drunk on power in our infant country. Our infant country that is a massive world power. Most people are just drunk. And so I care. And what I'm learning to do is step back and only step in where I'm welcome. Only step in and like tiptoe. And I'm trying to tiptoe and say, okay, you guys don't like me. Nobody ever liked me. I'm stepping back. I'm saying, okay. Well, the quiet kid in the corner has been quiet listening his whole life. And he finally decided to speak up and everyone's just trying to tell me to shut up. Like I'm not even here. I'm the most present because I've been listening to everything that all of you have been saying. I'm just not willing to say yes to things that aren't true. And I'm willing to dare to say yes to things that no one else in the room is seeing. But I thought it was obvious to them that it was there. And then I was willing to believe that people were... Now, yes, like I said, there are 2 or 3 people who are in my life who they get the point and they're trying to manipulate the room. But the rest of you, for the most part, are still figuring this stuff out. And just like I'm figuring out what you do, I'm figuring out how to live a normal life. That's something I've never known how to do. But the special stuff, right, is the unique stuff that society needs to get back on track. It's very pertinent and very important, and I have to figure out how to get the message through. And I don't necessarily know how to do that. But I'm going to have to be the one to figure it out, especially considering I'm the one that's trying to tell you guys while you're telling me, hey, it's just not there. It's just not there. Whether it's because of my haircut or, my lack of money or whatever it might be. So I just have to keep working on that. Whether it means I'm working on it from jail, or if I'm working on it from an institution, or I'm working on it at home with my wife, or whether I'm thinking about it while I'm at work, whatever it is I have to sort this through and figure it out. And I'm not letting go of it because I see how important it is for society to learn, for us to find that equilibrium that we keep claiming we're looking for, because I see a lot of people saying that we need to find peace, and it's very, very clear that they're just looking for a war. They're claiming peace while fighting with each other. And it's just not a club I want to be a part of. It's just not. It's not. So I guess I'm the outcast. I'm used to it. Don't worry. Let me catch up on comments. Storms, welcome on. Here's the thing, guys. When everyone else gets a say in the room, whenever you're in your life or in your room, that's your life. This is not like we're in the schoolyard. This is my room. Okay? So I'm doing a live stream. This is a gift. I'm not full of myself. I'm giving you my time, and I'm trying to convey something that's very important. So if you're disrespectful to me, that's an insult. And it is respectful and self-respecting for me to have to, hide that. It's not something I want to do. That's not who I am. And it's not a matter of me being bothered. It is that you just don't belong in the room then, because this is a serious conversation, one that most people don't take seriously at all. So if you don't take this conversation seriously and you don't think any of this is a big deal, you can either leave, get hidden, or just enjoy the mind-numbing content as I start to make legitimate videos in the future, as I get the right stuff together and get my life together. You can just watch the content and enjoy that. But when I take my personal time to have a conversation, I'm going to be talking about the things that matter the most, and not just to me, but the things that legitimately matter the most in this world. Our planet, and this isn't some snowflake left-wing thing. This is like the real deal. I've said this before, guys. I come from a small farm town. I grew up very Republican. I grew up very Christianized and all that. All right, but I'm a very sensible and rational guy. And with what's been presented, we're literally watching the planet fall apart while people are looking at it and saying it's not happening. It's literally happening in front of our eyes, and people are like, "It's not there," or "It's not my problem." And I'm like, "It's gonna be when 200 or 300 years from now we don't even have a planet." So it's very important to me, because I want grandchildren, and I want them to have grandchildren, and I want you to have grandchildren. That matters to me. Okay? So if we're live, be respectful, because if you're not, it's just a sign of de-evolution. Becca, welcome on. Gina, welcome on. Are we still on bullying? Yeah. Pushing out the important topics in a conversation, that's bullying. Especially when the conversation is wrapped around my platform. Yes, definitely still on bullying. And I've learned to just not even let the negative stuff bother me near as much, but I will still try to reason with those people, because if people hadn't reasoned with me, it wasn't the people who were so rude to me and bullied me, they didn't help me at all. And they're like, "We're toughening you up." No, you abused me. It was bad. The people that really helped me were far and few between, and they were calm and silent, and they sat back and let me learn, the same way that Kate has, and that I've done for her. Regardless of what you saw in the past, that was based on advice of the people around me. I've learned to, and as stupid as that sounds, I had tried everything else. I had tried everything else except walk away. And people were telling me, "Yeah, walking away is better." I'm like, "No, it's not. No, it's not. Commitment is commitment. It matters. No matter how much the world tries to break up a marriage, it's just letting other people in between that marriage. It's nobody else's business." And we let people into our business in a way that wasn't healthy, and we let our age be an excuse for that. Like, we're young, so We're young and dumb, and people can just we're all just having fun, and it wasn't fun for anybody. Nobody. We don't even talk about it. Like in our house, we don't even talk about it. We're just trying to move on from it. The most that it gets talked about is here with you guys when it comes up. But we're just trying to move on from it because it was a scary experience for us. It was not. We don't have these big fond memories. We have little pieces in between, but for the most part, we were terrorized. And there are people out there enjoying our travels, and we're communicating with you like, hey, people are doing this stuff to us, and oh no, it's just not happening. It's just not happening. So we're just trying to move on from it. Apple says agreed. People shouldn't be forever branded by their mistakes. We shouldn't just throw out a human's future for mistakes they are learning, growing from. Yeah. Yeah. I've learned from the feminine energy on that. I have definitely learned from women. And men, you should take note on this, as I learned this from a very wise Indian man who had a multi-million-dollar fortune, and the guy is a freaking genius. And Kate and I had sat and talked with him somewhere we were a little way back, and we had hours and hours of conversation with him. He was he was a botanist, and he had like multiple PhDs, and really smart older man. And one of the things he had said to us was that men have 2 chromosomes and women have 1. And that men, and now Indians are very intelligent, okay? So for those of you out there who are just American, you may not be cultured in other cultures or intelligences, they have thousands of years of history in that country. We have been here for a couple hundred years, and then we have books and things, right? And yes, we are very smart. But sometimes when we get a little too out of hand, we can forget our roots. And so men have the male and the female energy. Men have both male and female energy inside them. Now, obviously, female have a lot more female energy, but they do not have male energy. So we are different. And men, yes, they do have both, and women have 1. And people can get mad at me for talking about science, but I mean, it's just basic science. It's not complicated, and it might not be fair, but life's not fair. That's just nature. And as a man, learning to be humble is, hey, this feminine energy has been dominant in my life for a reason. And I had been convinced by men who shut off their feminine side that I was being some snowflake or a bad guy. No, our world right now needs feminine. We do need good men in this world, but in my opinion, in my educated opinion, we need men that are willing to be humble enough to embrace that female energy and not necessarily we're not talking about that you have to wear a dress or anything like that, but to step down, get on that knee, and say yes to women and start giving them their way. Because what I have learned about a woman's scorn is that women have a wisdom about them that have nothing to do with the way they think. They are engineered with their intelligence just happening. They don't have to think about it at all to be smart. They just are smart. Whereas oftentimes men, we have to think about something before we really understand it. And it's not a gender fight. It's just how it is. And it's not just based on my experience. It's in books that can be read, for those of us that pick them up. And it's not a left or right book. It's just raw facts that have been the same for thousands of years as empires rise and fall. And we need that feminine energy. We need men to step up and be a little more tender. Step up and be tender. Go all the way. Because women need us to be going all the way for them right now. And a lot of us men are failing our women by thinking that stepping up and just spoiling them with gifts is making them happy. And it doesn't. Any women out there, you could probably agree with me here, is that you value a man stepping down to be there with you much more than just filling your house with things and never being home. And so I knew what I was doing. I don't even know if anyone's listening. Guys, can I get a heart or something to let me know you're here? Because I'm not getting any interaction. I want to make sure that the live stream is still running and that I'm not just talking to myself. P. Miller, welcome on. Bella, welcome on. Sarah. Rob, welcome on. About Elon Musk. Actually, I don't need to do breath work. Breath work is the reason I can talk so much. It's part of why I'm able to talk so much, is really good lungs. Scarlett, welcome on. Squirrel. Irish. What's the it you want? Okay, all right. Keep playing fun with reality. See where it gets you. Kittens, how's it going? Agreed, the Earth is pretty much screaming at us to pay attention to the damage being caused. The fires, the extreme weather, people need to stop pretending the Earth isn't in peril. Yeah, and, after all that's happened over the past couple of thousands of decades, yes, thousands of decades, for those of us who think we encompass all of reality, the Earth finds a way to fix things when things start to go wrong. And at this point, at least from my perspective, and yes, my professional perspective, it appears as though the Earth is using humans to get rid of other humans. That's a scary thought. And that is a scientific perspective. It's not a madman's agenda. It is it's quite clear of how things are. And the reason that matters is because people are going and doing that, and then they say because that's the situation, then their behavior is justified. No, it's not. You're just being insane. Like, we should learn to get along with each other. It is these radical, unhealthy people that are stepping out and saying, let's just wipe out half the population or else we're going to lose the Earth, and that's how you do it. That's just called panic. And we're seeing some of the most intelligent people in the world using panic as an excuse to wipe off half the face of the Earth and then say, well, it's justified because we're going to survive. And I was almost willing to hop on board with that idea. And even just half a conversation with it, I'm like, no, you're just using your intelligence and your wealth to make an excuse for some really radically insane stuff, and it's something I can't get on board with. It dumbs us down in the long run. It sends us into the past. It's just going to be another toppling of an empire, and it's not going to go much further than that. So, yes, all the way from bullying in high school to this. Why? Is because that's the level I'm on. Well, you guys just think I'm nuts. No, that's the level I'm on, and I'm willing to have that conversation with the average public because people need to know this stuff. All right? I am the kid in the room everyone ignored, and they're still trying to shut me up instead of listen. You guys got to start listening to what I'm saying because it matters a lot more than the mistakes I've made as I ran from saying the stuff I'm saying to you now. But, fear for my own life. Fear for my own life, because I know that the things I'm saying, I am saying them rationally, and I am saying them in a way that can be conveyed to those who get the point. And when I do that, especially just in the public eye, without any discretion, it makes a lot of waves. It makes a lot of waves. Even with 9 people in the broadcast, trust me when I say there's plenty more watching than just 9. And most of them are just watching silently right now. And I know they're there. And if you look through my follow list, you'll find them. But they want the attention for this. And I say, if this is what it takes, then you can have it. But painting me as crazy is not going to make the world a better place. I got a job to do. And half of that job is filling you guys in on how pertinent and important it is to be kinder to one another. And yes, I am making something so monumental and small at the same time, whatever. I'm letting you know the only thing that really matters, after everything I've just said, all the complexities from top to bottom. You rewatch this broadcast, I went top to bottom with some of the biggest ideas and the smallest things, and I did it within like a 10-minute time frame. My brain works on that spectrum. I'm not out of my mind. I am very focused in my mind. I am telling you, it is time to treat one another better because we don't have a choice. We are already too late. That's not a doomsday thing. I'm not a religious nut. I'm not even religious. Whether you punch the numbers or just take a simple look at society as a whole, panic and ignorance, they are destroying everything and leaving nothing to even have a conversation about. So, thank you for listening, because I'm going to go ahead and hope that what you're doing is listening. Hopefully. Anybody? Even if you don't have much to say about it, you just let me know you're listening. It doesn't matter to me that you're listening just for me, guys. It matters to me that you're listening for you. Because me being heard has a lot more to do with than just me being heard. I'm on live. I haven't been doing that much. I'm still not going to be doing it much because of, I mean, what's the real value anyone's getting here? No one's listening to what I'm saying anyway. Why spend the time to say it? You're more interested. So many of you are more interested in court than the survival of our species. So, with all due respect, I don't have time for this. I don't have time for this. I got work to do.